Hey friend, Sean with Guided Productions, and today we're talking about how to speed ramp inside Adobe Premiere Pro. This is one of my favorite video effects because it's super effective, it's super easy to do, and it can be used a couple of different ways. Now before we get started, I do want to show you I am in version 25.6.2. This is Adobe Premiere Pro 2025. So if you're looking at this in the future, things could be different, but for the most part, I've seen this method stays the same. So back to it. Okay, all I've done so far is take a video clip and pull it right onto my timeline. So this is what I have here. This clip was sent to me by a client. It's a cool server rack with some blinking lights. As we move around back, you'll see this gentleman doing some very IT professional type things. As we come back in here, what I want to do, you can see that whoever had the camera is walking slowly around the other side of the cabinet here. And I actually want to speed ramp so it goes real fast and then slows down as we get back to this gentleman here in the back. So this is the clip that I will be using for that example here today. The first thing we'll need to do is convert this line on my timeline. You see this horizontal white line. This is actually the opacity line. If I drag this down, you'll see my video gets darker. What's actually happening is I'm lowering the opacity so it becomes transparent. And I don't want to do that. This is just what Adobe Premiere Pro defaults to when you pull a piece of footage onto the timeline. If I right click my footage, I can go to this spot at the bottom. It says show clip keyframes. You'll see that opacity, there's a little dot by it because this is what the default is. This is what's selected currently. We actually want to go to time remapping and speed. So it will change. You'll see it moved. It will change that little bar. Now this is actually the speed of my video. If I pull it up, the speed is going to go faster. If I pull it down, it's going to go slower. Now I'm pretty confident this was shot at, if I go in here, 30 frames per second. So we really don't want to pull this slower than it is. That's where the footage will start to get choppy. I'm actually okay with it being at 100%. But when we do that speed ramp, I want to move this really quickly so that we can get around to the back of this cabinet into this gentleman in a hurry. And all we got to do is find a good spot in our clip. Let's see where there's some movement. I like this establishing shot of this server rack. Not to nerd out on you, but these are actually storage platforms. It's a bunch of hard drives connected to those wires. And then up top, you have some network switches, but neither here nor there. That's just my time in IT kicking in. So I want to speed up. I want to find right as this videographer, the person holding the camera, moves to the back of the server rack. So I'm just going to hit Command on my Mac keyboard, Command click, and I will set a keyframe right here on the line. You see how that little flag popped up there. And then I'm going to drag my playhead all the way to the spot where I want that to end, where I want my speed ramp to slow back down to normal speed. And I kind of want it to hit right on this computer as we're coming up. You see he opens his eyes and he looks up at the screen. So I want to just slow down right in this region here. So I'm going to hit Command and click again. So now I have two different keyframes on my timeline in this clip. And here's the best part. All you got to do is pick that center section. This is the walk around of the cabinet, right? I get to pull that straight up and you'll see what's happening there. It's making my clip shorter because I'm speeding up the motion. So I'm going to go all the way to 1,000%. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I promise it will make sense as we go further. Now you can hold Command, I think goes up by 2. And if you hold Shift, I think it goes up by 5. In this case, I just did it the old fashioned way and went up by 1s. So there you have it. Now I have my establishing shot of the server rack. I have a very sped up middle section where I walk around that side of the cabinet and then it slows down as we get to this gentleman. Let's just watch back to see what this looks like. Okay, so first and foremost, you're already seeing I've got my keyframe set up in the right place, but it's pretty choppy. It just goes from normal speed to 1,000% and then back to normal. That's not very flattering. That's not very fun. So what we'll do here is if you look closely, I'll zoom in here, you'll see that these flags are split. There's a line in the middle and you can actually pull them apart. I went backwards with it. And you see what that's doing is creating this nice line. So now it creates more of a ramp, right? We're speed ramping. So instead of just going from 100 to 1,000 to 100, we're going from 100 and then it's gradually climbing up and then gradually climbing down, but it's still not very smooth in the motion that it's going to do. If you click on one of these little flags, you'll see it brings up these little handlebars, these blue lines. with dots, click either one of the dots and just pull them over. And you'll notice what's happening is I'm actually bending that line. It creates much more of a smooth transition. So you see here how it'll smooth into the ramp and then smooth out of the ramp. So let's play this back and see how we feel about it. And by the way, this is B-roll, so I removed the audio. We don't need to worry about that. We're just looking at the picture here. Okay, so far I feel pretty good about that. I think we've got a good establishing shot. We move quickly around the side of that server rack, and then we slow down right as our IT professional is doing some very technologically savvy things on his computer. But I'm still not sold. When we get up here and there's some fast movement, you would expect there to be a bit of motion blur, right? So there's one last thing you want to do to your speed ramp to just seal the deal and really sell the effect. And what I'm going to do is come down into my project panel. You see I click new item, and I want to create an adjustment layer. Everything here is okay. And you don't have to rename it. I'm going to rename mine blur, just so I know what it is. I usually keep my adjustment layers in my elements folder. I can collapse my footage. And you're just going to drag that onto your timeline. Anywhere here is fine. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then we're going to grab this effect. If you just type in here, directional blur. You don't even have to type the whole thing. Directiona. There it is. Directional blur is what we want. Grab that and drag it right onto our adjustment layer. And you can already see that it blurred my footage. It defaults to 10%. If I crank that up, you're going to see, whoa, that's looking pretty crazy. We can actually pull that all the way down to 0, and you see there's no blur on our timeline. Great. Now, what we need to do is tell Premiere Pro, as we begin to move, I want you to gradually blur this image, stay blurry through the entire 1000%, through the entire speed ramp. And then as we come off of that, I want you to gradually come back to the clear image that we started with. So we just need to set a couple of keyframes to tell Premiere what to do. I usually go right at the start of my ramp. You can see I'm down at the bottom here, almost the valley of our mountain, if you will, or the base of our mountain would be a better description. And I will click the stopwatch in my effects panel on the left to set a keyframe for 0% blur. This tells Premiere, stay at 0 until you get to this point. What I'll then do is drag my playhead until I get to the peak. In this case, it looks like a plateau of my mountain, if you will. And I will set this to about 15%. I think that creates some pretty natural blur. Anything beyond that, and it feels a little excessive, but anything below that, you don't really notice it so much. So I'm just going to put that there. I will pull the playhead again. As we start to come off of that, I'm actually just going to click this little box here to add another keyframe at 15%. I'll drag the playhead to the base of our mountain on the other side. I'm going to bring this back to 0, drag that down. You see the image becomes clear again. So now, if you really want to clean this up, you can go to the start and stop of your keyframes, and you can actually just shorten up your adjustment layer so that it only appears in that section. You don't have to do this, but sometimes it cleans things up a little bit. So let's play this back and see our establishing shot, our speed ramp around the server cabinet, and then come back to our IT professional here. Let's see what this looks like. So that's looking pretty good. The last thing that I would do here is probably add some music. In this particular video that I did for this client, I did add a backing track with some high energy music, and there were some timed cuts to the beats of the music. So this really felt natural and fit in with the vibe that I was going for. In some cases, you may even want to add some sound effects like a whooshing or swooshing sound to kind of sell the idea that you're swooshing around the side of that server rack. But in this instance, I feel like what we have here looks pretty darn good. So that is how you create a speed ramp inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, friend, I want to give you a free gift for hanging out with me today. If you're at all interested in learning more about video production or video editing, more along the lines of what we're talking about here today, Go to guidedproductions.com/bettervideoguide or click the link in the description below. It's my free gift to you for spending a bit of time with me, but I actually created a 6 steps to creating better video guide, and I walk you through everything from idea to export to really remove the guesswork from the entire production process and help you get up and running, start building and creating content as quickly as possible. The last page is a downloadable PDF checklist so you can actually follow along with every project and never miss a step. Friend, that's what I have for you here today. Subscribe to Guided Productions so you don't miss another video coming out in the future, and I will see you on another one real soon.